Well, welcome back to Just Drive It. Today we are on another adventure. This vehicle right here has caused this adventure, and we'll show you how and why. Come along with us. Well, we made it. I've already gotten myself stuck on one side because we're under flood warning in this area. Now, flood, it ain't gonna hit here, but there's been a lot of rain, so what are we coming in for? Well, y'all been waiting to see. This is what we got. What were we thinking? Here we go again. What we have here is another Mopar. And as stated before, how this came about is a gentleman saw our video on the rescue of the '70 Sport Satellite, named Radically Safe, for Scott from Heaven's Mopars, and he was cutting this sucker up and stopped because of that video. He said, I know that car, I know that junkyard. So this is what he's got. What do we have here? Well, this will give you a little bit more of an idea, but it gets better. Yes, that is a Coronet 440. It's a 1970, in fact. It's a four-door. This, however, is an actual factory Hemi orange Dodge Super Bee. So what we're going to be doing for the next couple hours is we're going to go through, put wheel cylinders in. We're going to go through, put a master cylinder in, make sure we can get some brakes back on it. We brought a mismatched group of, those are off of a Crown Vic rims. I'm running low, so there's some ET drags mounted, and those are going to go on here to make it a roller. Next up, there's your driver's side door. That's going to get bolted back up. We have a passenger side door to help brace up some stuff, but we do have the original roof that came off of this, as well as the original quarter panels, as well as a second roof and a second set of quarter panels that are in better shape than the originals. We're going to put the originals back on. Why? It'll help us make it a little bit more solid. We're going to use tech screws and some other material, but as you can see, there is stuff left on it. It is a clean title car. It does carry an 8 3/4 down there. And yes, there are pieces missing here, and those are in the back. We'll get to those tomorrow. Rally gauge cluster, very nice. Shifter still there. Believe it or not, in the glove compartment is the original knob for that. Now, these seats came out of this one, but you know where we're going from there. So this is what we're playing with today. Now, most people are going, what the heck? You're missing a roof. Yes, but we do have good and better parts. So come along with us as we keep this up. Okay, we've got Ian taking apart the wheel cylinder right now. What we did is we popped the springs loose, the adjuster loose, the retainer for the adjuster, and then we popped the little arms for spreading. Alright, he's taking the screws out of the back, but what made me take a double take is I just did the exact same thing on this side, and it's actually dripping fluid. So that's a good indicator there that we still got good stuff in there. Yes, these are bad and they're thin and they need to be replaced, but this is just to get us brakes so we can get off the trailer. So, okay, I done did it. I went ahead and pulled the dipstick, and yes, there has been water in this engine. You can see some of the emulsification right there. So, how good or bad, we will find out. But this is for Jason. Alright, looking at the way and the condition of all this stuff, it's still got fluid in the rear brakes. The front are like that. That means that if this front one still has brake fluid in it, that it probably drained down on this one. We'll finish changing out these wheel cylinders. Maybe we'll get lucky and that master cylinder will be good. You never know. I know eventually we'll have to change it any way it goes. We did bring one. We have a master cylinder here. We have new brake hoses here. And then as you saw, we had these wheel cylinders. So let's move on. Now, this may be a little premature, but we got the Mickey Thompson ET drags on the back. Yeah, it's going to need a little bit of air in the tires. Those have been aired down for a while. But for the first time in a good while, it's temporarily got wheels and tires on there and there. We are going to have to go run down to the store and get inner and outer bearings for this. If we can't find them, we're going to have to go into that. I'm also going to jump in here real quick, and we're going to try and pull spark plugs and look inside the valve cover, or inside the cylinder heads, see what the cylinders look like. We are going to also see what kind of water's coming out of where the oil pan is, but we're all good. Well, we're back here on day 2. Picked up some bearings for this, picked up a few other things. We'll show you what it's about. Alright, so as you can see, we got Troy back in there. We're going to introduce you to him and hopefully get the lowdown on this car, get the story according to what he's had it. Brought my brother along, and we've got the boys. So first things first, we need to finish up taking care of what we were working on the brakes last night. I am going to drain some of the oil and water out of the oil pan, because last night we did find out that there is oil and water, and I'll show you this here in a second. But we're going to be going live as well, and I guess our main push today is we're putting the tires. We'll air that one back up over there. Once it's roller, we're going to get the roof. We're going to tech screw the roof back on with some strips of metal, and depending on how everything goes, we may get to putting the quarter panels on, we may not. Claudia left her prescription at the house, so we're kind of in a time crunch to get back to the house so she can get that. We are going to mount doors back on here, and at the very least hold them shut. That'll give us a little bit more rigidity to this thing. So here we go. All right, so we're about to put this back in together. We got new bearings in that. Judah is going through, putting in lug nuts and stuff. Don't take them all off at the same time. Replace them as you go. Find one of them to put one of those conical ones on. Get it started. You may need a wrench or a brush and stuff. But this is what we're up to. We're gonna have to add a little air to those. So we're still moving at it. Okay, we got this car back on wheels. We have a couple issues. This is a left-hand thread setup versus the rest of them are all right-hand, including the rear on this side. I'm not too happy with that nut, but we got it on there enough to where it'll hold the spindle in place, or in the hub in place, so we can load and unload this car. And then I will go through and clean up the threads even more and get that done right. Next setup, now that he's getting that, we're going to get some air in these tires, and then I'm going to take and pull this oil pan nut for a minute, or a bolt for a minute. Now let's any water that may be in there out. Once we hit regular oil, we'll stop it right there and leave the oil in there, but I don't want it sloshing around and everything while we're driving and possibly screwing up what isn't screwed up. Alright, so we got this thing ready to come out, and you're going to see that there is in fact water coming out of this thing. So let's see, can they see it on the live too?
Yeah.
Alright.
Pretty sure they can. I need to move it up.
As you can tell, there's a decent amount of water in there. You got it? You see it right there?
Yep.
That's actually water coming out. And there's showing the water, but eventually we'll get to oil because there is oil in here. So that's rainwater that went through the engine. However, it will move. Now we're going to come back through and do a scope on the cylinders. But yeah, it's quite a bit of water coming out. I don't know what the count is right now, but oh, probably 4 or 5 quarts worth. Wow, that's a lot of water.
I need to empty it.
You're here pretty quickly, Will.
I think we might get it.
Alright, we're going to take and you're going to keep an eye on these accessory drives and stuff and where we've got it down here. We've done this once before yesterday. We took about 5 quarts, maybe 6, of water out of the oil pan. But we did find out last night we're not going to do a complete revolution because I want to pull valve covers. I want to make sure none of the valves are messed up or anything like that. And the oil in here is absolutely awful. So we're not doing any type of crank it over or anything. But as you can see, that just moved the engine both ways. So that's about all I really want to do until we can make sure. But like I said, boom, you can see it, it's moving and it's moving. So we do know we got to move an engine. We'll come back over here and over here. We'll keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, this is for strips for bolting this sucker back on with tech screws. We do have doors, one there and one there, to help make this a little bit more rigid. That way when we go down the road, we don't bend this car in half. So, okay, you can see where I've cut out tabs and connected them. We're gonna go through and use those to help reconnect this roof for the time being. And we'll do a couple more little strips here in a few, but that'll get that roof back on. Then we'll go to the doors and actually bolt the doors on so we can get everything closed up. Judah. Side on? Okay, I think y'all's corner's got to come, that back corner's got to come this way a little bit. Alright, so it's closer. Alright, what did you use to cut the lid?
Just a Sawzall.
Okay. All right. Okay. Not pretty, but as you can tell, we learned on this one. Did a wrap around. Got that. It's still not going to be there perfectly, but this is just to hold this on and give us a little bit extra support. You can see how we got stuff over there and stuff over here. I'm just hoping that along with the doors will keep this thing stabilized enough so that we can do what we need to do. Seats are sitting back in it. We'll have to figure out where to stick the interior pieces, but we're on to the doors and loading everything up. So it's amazing what you can do with a couple of self-tapping screws. And you now have a roof on a car that was roofless and temporarily installed quarter panels. Now granted, they are still going to need to be done right, but there you go. And just to give you, so they go like that or they go like that? Probably like that. There you go. That'll give you a hint of what's coming at you.
Or what's passing you by.
This is true.
What's leaving you in the dirt.
There you go. All right, just drive it. Can't make this up. Sorry for the sound. I'm not turning it off, but we had to hit the brakes, and looky here. Looks like we're driving about 20 miles an hour because the spare isn't on this truck. And we're headed for the house. Well, at least we're going to try to make the Schulenburg, see what happens. But as you can tell, there it is. Adventures in YouTube. Alright, we're cruising along here. See, we're doing about 35 miles an hour, trying to lift this thing back in. We'll see what happens. We made it home, even with this. Yeah, that was 112 miles at 30 to 35 miles an hour. Not so much fun pulling, but she made it. My brother told me, oh, I thought those were from 2022, those tires. No, they weren't. They're from 2017. We should have already replaced them, but they were used when I got them. I thought they were 2022s. Oh well. But this is what we brought home, as y'all know. So what we did helped. Even though that side's kind of a little looser than this side, where we attached the roof back together, it did add some structural strength to it. Adding the doors, plus just fitting these on the way we fit them for the time being, actually gave it some more strength as well. What we're going to end up going back through and doing is cleaning everything up, doing it right. We're going to have to patch up little areas like here and up there and get it all back to where it's supposed to be. But when the next guy gets this, he's going to be getting his dream vehicle, and that's what's important. Now, it won't be the most perfect one, but it'll still be a good one. Some of the stuff that we also learned, and we'll have to go through and figure some of this stuff out, is, yeah, it's froze up. That's going to take some work doing. And as you know, this thing's had water in it, so we got a lot to check. And it never fails. The day after the after or whatever, I swapped rims and tires like that one showed, so that we could get right there. That on the back, headed down the road because we want to get that tire changed. But in this case, we didn't realize we put everything back together that the hose was going to be up against the dadgum rim. So as a result, brake fluid everywhere, no front brakes. Downshifted, got it going slow. Think at least I had at least a mile or two before I had to turn off here to a safe place to park, because pretty soon that's going to be major traffic, and it would have stunk going down that. But now we got to get brake hose, change all this out. Just be careful, people. Remember, you can downshift, take it easy. Even though the pedal starts to go to the floor because you got front brakes missing or the rear brakes missing, you've got a dual circuit master cylinder, so you're gonna have at least a little bit of brakes. Be safe.